Welcome to Film Strip Sessions. I'm Jay.
I'm Lindsay.
I'm Ryan.
I'm Ron.
And on this episode of Sessions, which if it's your first time listening or watching, is our general topics show here on Film Strip, we're going to play a round of director swap, specifically around summer blockbusters. Each of your wonderful hosts here has chosen a bona fide summer blockbuster, and then they are going to talk about what made the movie a big hit. And then for a twist, each host is going to suggest a different director for that movie. We'll discuss what the difference would be in our fantasy redraft, if you will. But before we get started, Lindsay, Ryan, Ron, let's talk a little bit about summer blockbusters in general. Like, are there some that you tend to go back to every summer, things that you really like to visit when it's summertime? Linz, let's start with you.
Oh man, so when I was a kid, going to see whatever Disney movie came out that summer was huge. And The Lion
Mm.
King, hands down, the best Disney movie ever made. With Aladdin, I think, being the closest second in my childhood era. And then after that, I feel like there weren't a ton of movies that hit quite the same over the summer as those ones did. But, and one of them I will be talking about, but because my birthday's in the summer, so I liked to go to the movies. There was usually a good horror flick, at least one that came out that I would go see. And
Mhm.
there was always, for several years in a row, some kind of dinosaur adjacent movie.
Yeah, fair. Yeah. Ryan, what about you?
Ooh, when I was a kid, I'd loved a good summer blockbuster. To be honest, though, I'm kind of right there with Linz. It's like after a while, it just became, it kind of was there, but then you would start seeing that, live streaming and everything would start happening. And with COVID going on, or as I call it, the fever dream, we didn't really have the pleasure of summer blockbusters. For me, though, like she mentioned, Lion King, of course, Aladdin, any Disney movie that was coming out in the summer, I had to be there. I was a big old Disney brat. And then there, of course, were ones that I wasn't of a PG-13 age or appropriate age to watch them, but some of my favorites, include like Ghostbusters is a good one. Forrest Gump is another. Just and those are the ones that I tend to go back to because I really do think they're timeless.
Very cool. Very cool. Ron, what about you?
Oh man, the first like summer blockbuster type of movie I remember going to see was probably I want to say it was The Little Mermaid,
Mm.
which
Mm.
would have come out when I
Sensing a
was in
theme with you guys. I should have a
Yeah.
Disney
It's
month
almost
some
like we like
point.
like
Disney or something. It's
it, it
crazy.
it came out when I was in like second or third grade, and we got free tickets from the school to go see it.
Oh,
That's
wow.
cool.
So like, of course we went.
Hmm.
But unlike everybody else, I will say my love for the summer blockbuster has continued on to this day. I don't attend the theater, but I enjoy thinking about attending the theater, if that makes sense.
Hmm.
Because like I remember like when Independence Day dropped, we were there like opening
Hmm.
day. I remember going early to see Terminator 2 when Terminator 2 came out. I remember going to see RoboCop 2 when RoboCop 2 came out. During the summer, we were usually would go spend a week or 2 weeks in Florida. And like as you've if you've ever been to Florida or have any vague awareness of what Florida is, it's a tropical place
Are you
with
sure?
lots of rain that comes in the middle of the day. So when it's 90 degrees and it won't stop raining, but you can't get in the pool because there's lightning, you go to the movie theater.
Hmm.
Hmm.
And
Yeah.
so
Yeah.
I saw most of the summer blockbusters of my youth and early teenagerdom in Florida, which was a wild experience.
I saw a Harry Potter movie as an adult on vacation during vacation when it was raining because it was just a good time to catch
Hmm.
it. I think it might have been, it was either Deathly Hallows 1 or 2. I can't remember which one, but we were reviewing it on the show here way back when, and I saw that on summer vacay, which was funny. Are there anything coming out this summer that you all are planning to see or jazzed about at all? So
Hmm.
I'm a
I,
sucker for nostalgia. I'll tell you right now, I'll go drop a few bucks on this Masters of the Universe thing because it looks like it's going to completely
That
bomb anyway. So, but I'm going to go see it.
Yeah, that's one that was I was kind of thinking about because I saw advertisements for it recently and I went, oh, okay. And I have
Yeah.
the first one holds a special place in my heart, even though I know that it's not completely accurate, but I don't care. I'll go see it anyway, just because I want to see whether this is going to be
Hmm.
good. But like you, Jay, I'm thinking this is going to be a disaster. I'll just get a big thing of popcorn, and if the theater I go to has beer, I'll have that too.
Hmm.
I just saw the trailer for, I think it's called Disclosure Day with Emily Blunt, the
Yes.
alien one. I think
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
that has my name written all over it for
Yeah.
sure.
That's Spielberg action right there. That's going to be
Hmm.
great.
Yeah.
So,
Hmm.
yeah. Yeah. I'm pumped for that one too, Lance. So that's one I want to try to catch. So,
I
We
feel like
all
Funny
that'll be good on
enough,
the big screen.
mhm.
the thing, well, there's one thing I'm excited about that I can't talk about yet because it ties into my film series.
Okay.
Hmm.
But the other thing that's super pumped me up, and I don't know if this is going to be a summer movie, but it's going to be an A24 movie, so it's going to be successful regardless. And I shared the trailer in the film strip group chat yesterday. It is Onslaught, which is basically The Guest 2. And The Guest is one of my favorite all-time movies. And it's a great previous episode of the podcast if you want to hear me and Michael Scott from Action for Everyone talk at length about how hot Dan Stevens is.
It's a beautiful man.
Uh, yes, and our funny enough, our praise was so effusive that Julia from Tis the Podcast listened to the episode. Is like, okay, I gotta watch this movie because you guys keep talking about how beautiful this man is, and she watched it. She's like, okay, I get it.
Yeah. No,
Mhm.
funny enough, I've been rereading The Odyssey. That's my other big summer because I want to go see the
Hmm.
no. But I
Mhm.
got to a point where like I misplaced the book and I thought, oh
Oh,
gosh, and so I found an audiobook version read by Dan Stevens online.
nice.
And I
Ooh,
started listening to it, and then I found the book, and I was like, "But I don't want to cheat on Dan." So what I've been doing is have Dan read to me, which is a
nice.
special kind of
It's an
wonderful.
emotional affair, if you
But
will.
I got to tell you,
While you read the book as well,
yeah, well, yeah, it was
you're
like
Oh.
being a
following
kid
along.
again.
I have done
Yeah.
that before. It's
Mhm.
really, yeah, it is really nice.
Takes me back to those days when I had like the little flip book and
Uh-huh.
45 record of the movies, Like I think most of
Hmm.
my memories of Gremlins come from that than having watched the movie. But
That's
yes,
another great summer blockbuster too, was Gremlins. That was another one that I was thinking
yeah.
about.
Now the previous
Hmm.
episode on Film Strip, by the way, with
Mhm.
Jerry from Totally Rad Christmas. So a lot of fun on that one. Well, we've danced around it a lot. It's time to get into the main event, if you will, here. So to set up the rules for everybody again, we call this Summer Blockbuster Director Swap. So again, every host has picked a bona fide summer classic. They're going to talk to us about why that was a big hit, what it was up against, all the things, right? And then they are going to throw the loop of like, but it could be directed by somebody else. So I gave the example when I threw it out in the group chat was like, it would be like saying Return of the Jedi, but instead of fighting with the Directors Guild, George Lucas got over it and had Spielberg actually direct the thing. It would have been more Ewoky. What would have been like had he done that? And then everybody will just react to it as we go. So it should be a lot of fun. And Lindsay, you are going to kick us off. And I think I'm picking up a sense with your get up today. If you're not watching the video, folks, watch the YouTube. You'll see what I'm talking about and the way you got your name spelled. So what's your summer blockbuster and then lay your director swap on us?
Speaking of Spielberg,
Ah,
I picked Jurassic Park, which I have seen. I think I have seen almost every single Jurassic Park movie in the theater because they almost always come out in the summer. And that's usually the best movie. And since it's my birthday, that's the one I picked to go see. Jurassic Park was, and I born in the 80s, raised in the 90s. I grew up in the world of loving dinosaurs with Land Before Time and like I am a dinosaur girl for sure. And so Jurassic Park came out and it was gangbusters. Like everybody loved that movie. I have such good memories of it. I remember like just being obsessed with it. And I probably, when it came out, I don't remember feeling too young to see it. In hindsight, I'm not sure. My brother was definitely too young to see it, but he saw it too. So, but I think that's the magic of Steven Spielberg directing it, is that he made this monster movie a family friendly monster movie, so to speak. So it was massive. It was the biggest box office movie of the summer. And I think it was the biggest box office movie of the entire year that year.
Yeah.
It grossed, I've seen different numbers. On the low end, it brought in, the number I've seen was $914 million, which was several hundreds of millions of dollars more than the number 2 movie that year, which was Mrs. Doubtfire. So, which was Mrs. Doubtfire was not released in the summer, but some of the other movies that were released in the summer that Jurassic Park was up against: The Fugitive, Sleepless in Seattle, Hocus Pocus, Free Willy. This was like the summer of my childhood. Robin Hood Men in Tights, Last Action Hero, and Cliffhanger. And it just pummeled them in the box office dollars.
Real quick. Guesses amongst the host, which of that list of other summer blockbusters Lindsay named off have we done on Film Strip? Anybody remember? I'll give you a hint. There's 2 of them we've done.
Oh,
Got to be Cliffhanger, has to be one of them.
We have done Cliffhanger.
Okay.
Fugitive?
We have done The Fugitive. So
Oh,
those
well,
are the
there you go.
2. Yeah, we've
Teamwork,
not done Sleepless in
Ryan.
Seattle,
Yeah.
Hocus Pocus, Free Willy, or Robin Hood Men in Tights. And
We've
of
never
course,
done
Jurassic
Hocus
Park.
Pocus?
No, we haven't. Jurassic Park is the infamous episode number 400, where we had every damn host of the show ever on it.
yeah.
And yeah, it took me months to edit that. But yeah, so go ahead, Liz. I just had to play a little bingo with Film Strip. So
Yeah. Well, that's okay. No, this is, I think this movie was such a huge summer blockbuster because it struck just the right chord of being something that adults would enjoy and kids could also watch. And again, this is, and I don't know if kids today, I don't have kids, so I have no idea if kids are still like as obsessed with dinosaurs as I feel like everyone in my classes were. Ron's shaking his head. I'm going to trust Ron's opinion there. I think that it was accessible to all different ages. And so for a summer blockbuster when kids are out of school, I think that's really important and makes sense. And it's really just a great movie and a great story. That said, I have some thoughts on a director swap for this movie. Now, I'm going to preface this with, I don't think if the director was swapped with what I'm about to say, I don't think it would have been a blockbuster. It would have been a very different movie. And I want to give a shout out to one of the other directors that I considered swapping, which is Joe Dante of Gremlins fame. We just talked about them in the
very
intro a little
different
bit.
movie.
Very
Right?
different.
It still would have been kind of a creature feature, but it would have been different. I decided not to go that route. And I think this might be the safe route, but it is a director who almost had this movie. He missed it by literally hours, was James Cameron.
Whoa.
Whoa. Okay.
He was hours away from having the rights to do this movie, and Steven Spielberg got it first.
Because Spielberg can do that. Oh, wow.
Dagger. And here is why I think James Cameron would have done a very different but really good job. I think he would have stayed truer to the book, which is just a profoundly darker, gorier version of this movie, which I started reading specifically for this podcast, and I am not finished with it. So full disclosure there, but what I've read so far is very different from the movie that we grew up with. And I think Cameron would have taken it to a much darker place. It definitely would have been rated R for sure.
Hmm.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Cannot bring kids to that movie, but it would be more akin to Aliens. And I think my big question, I'm interested to hear your thoughts on this, is one of the things that made Jurassic Park work so well are were the combo, animatronic, basically how they built the dinosaurs. And would Cameron have gone the same route, or would he have tried to early 90s CGI it?
Well,
Oh,
here's the thing. Speaking of King Cameron himself, um, Stan Winston did a lot of the special effects for Terminator 2. And Stan Winston, of course, did a lot of the special effects for Jurassic Park. So I'm thinking there
Oh,
might not have been that much of a change, except we might have gotten more of the practical effects that Spielberg ended up swapping out for CGI.
interesting. And my thought behind it too is I feel like, and this is kind of strictly speaking from the Aliens franchise perspective, but I feel like he makes really beautiful movies that last. So I don't think he would have muddled that part of it up. I mean, the T Rex may not have sounded like a lion, but maybe that's okay.
I I think you're onto something in that he would have leaned more into like the ethical dilemma that Crichton's book is about and the science of
Hmm.
the sci-fi of it and the horror. It would be much more horrific, like
Yeah.
all the blood and gore you can get. And I think Spielberg may be the last director that has the kind of sway that like he could do a movie that is as violent as that Jurassic Park movie is, and it's still just PG-13. But then I remind myself he had a kid get absolutely swallowed by a shark, and the movie's rated PG. So like that's and it was a different time, sure, but he actually had to fight for that because they wanted to
Yeah.
rate Jaws R, and he's like, no, that'll kill this. So yeah, that's an interesting choice. I love it.
mhm.
So
And the Spielberg Jurassic Park does have scary moments.
mhm.
There
Hmm.
are really frightening moments in that movie. But yeah, I think James Cameron would have just gone right off the deep end with it.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was the one thing I was thinking about is that Steven Spielberg took his time with like some of the whimsy of it all, like when they first get there and
Oh,
you
that's such a
you
nice word. Yeah, it was very
Mhm.
it
whimsical.
was a little it was like because the first the song that we all know from Jurassic Park, it stays rent free in everybody's brain that's ever watched it. And you see these majestic moments with these creatures before all hell literally breaks loose. And I do wonder if James Cameron would have
Hmm.
done the same, or if he literally would have been like, they're here. Oh no, the generator's down. And just,
Mhm.
Yeah. And then would James Cameron still have cast Laura Dern, or would he have tried to bring Sigourney Weaver into the fold?
Good point.
if Sigourney Weaver was in that, it's kind of an interesting concept.
It would change the dynamic a lot.
It
She would be
would.
more Grant
Yeah.
than
Uh-huh. Yeah,
Yeah.
Sam
Ooh,
Neill.
but
So
a movie where Sigourney Weaver plays Grant, I kind of like.
I like this.
yeah, no, that
You're
that I could go
right.
for. Yeah.
Yeah.
Hmm.
So,
Maybe
yeah, that
that'll
would.
be the next Jurassic Park movie. Sigourney Weaver is just, and they'll just call it Jurassic Park Grant.
I don't think Sigourney's down for that anymore. I think
You
No.
never know.
she's just cashing the checks these days, and good for her.
Yeah.
She's
So
yeah, she's
Yeah.
happy getting those Avatar checks and calling it a
yeah,
day.
yeah.
Hmm.
So
Hmm.
Living her best life.
that's a good one, Liz. That's a strong one to start with, I gotta say. So that's
Thanks.
really
Thanks.
good. So, well, Ron, you're up next. So what movie are you presenting first, and then what director swap are we performing?
Okay, so my movie is not so much a summer blockbuster, but it spawned a series of very successful end of summer blockbusters as like the kind of last gasp before you get into spooky season. And
Mm.
I'm here to talk about none other than the best Anderson last name director working ever, Paul W.S. Anderson. Eat it, Wes. Eat it, P.T. Anderson. Um, and the movie we're going to talk about is Resident Evil. Now, Resident Evil came out in March 2002, so not really a summer blockbuster. And it wasn't really a runaway success at the box office either in the United States or in around the world. I mean, it made $103 million dollars on a $33 million budget and then was in the top 50 for the worldwide that year. But it was competing with a lot of like legitimate blockbuster movies, right? Lord of the Rings, The Two Towers, Harry Potter and the Chamber of Secrets, Sam Raimi's Spider-Man, Star Wars Episode 2, Attack of the Clones, which is a movie I did see on opening day because I'm dumb and didn't learn my lesson from The Phantom Menace. Um, but weirdly enough, this movie isn't like the most popular or the best performing movie of this series. This is one of those movies where it kind of made its bones on home video, and then when the second and third and fourth and fifth ones came out, like of the seven movies in the series, like um, Resident Evil is not the best performing of it. That would probably be like Resident Evil Apocalypse, Resident Evil Extinction, Resident Evil Afterlife, Resident Evil Retribution. All of those made over $300 million worldwide. All of them were number one debuts when they hit the screens in early September. But the franchise as a whole, I don't see how you could argue that it's not a blockbuster because on a production budget for the entire series of $313 million, the Resident Evil series has made 1.2 billion, 1.28 billion with a B dollars worldwide,
Mm,
which when you think about it is insane.
yeah. For video game adaptation movie, those are usually low rent and done badly. And they don't do great at the box office, but this one bucks that trend for sure.
Yeah, and with a budget of like 30, an average budget of like 35 million a piece, 30 to
Mhm.
35 million, because I can't do the math. Um, to divide that 313 million seven ways, somebody else can do the math. To think about that return on investment, like you would be any studio in the world would give their right arm to have that kind of return, including A24, which I'm pretty sure is going to be the ones who are doing the new Zach Krager remake of Resident Evil that is due to come out once again in September, at the end of
Yeah.
September. So Zach Krager's bringing
Mhm.
it back old school, doing the reboot. He is not the person who I would think would be the guy to take over the series because like Lindsay, I was struck immediately by one of this person's probably going to do this movie. Oh no, he's not going to be able to do this movie now because reasons, guys.
Mhm.
That's out there. And that would be the first person, the guy who really worked hard to bring this to the screen, who really worked hard to develop it, took years and years and years of his time to work on it. And that would be George A. Romero.
Oh,
Now,
Oh.
would Romero have made Mila Jovovich as megastar? Probably not, because I don't think he would have gotten married to her because I'm pretty sure he was happy with his actual wife. But hey, you never know.
I don't know if he saw her
Um,
in that dress in the shower, man. I don't know. So,
Oh God.
but I will say that it would have definitely been more true to the video game because the video game is not like a big loud action shoot 'em up thing. You're
Hmm.
skulking around, you're finding clues. The zombies burst out of surprising places and turn and attack you, or you know, uh, a liquor smashes through the window and you get a jump scare. It's
Hmm.
the kind of sorry.
No, I was agreeing. I was just saying,
Oh, okay. It's the kind of scares that Romero really excels at. Because if you've watched
yeah,
any of the Dead movies or any of his non-Dead movies, which are all very interesting to excellent, depending on your tastes, like uh, that original version of the Crazies is great, really downbeat.
agreed.
Yeah.
hmm
Yeah.
Um, Martin is an insane movie. The Night Riders is one of the funnest things I've watched in a long time. Um, but yeah, like just thinking about like what Romero could have done with a $30 million budget and a worldwide beloved property. To think that the master of the zombie film almost did the most successful zombie film series that has ever been
Mhm.
is really it's kind of sad news bears when you think about it, to think that that's a missed opportunity because
Yeah.
would George have done seven of these movies? I mean, if the money was right, probably. If he had ideas, sure. I mean, just thinking about like what he could have done with a guaranteed like 30 to 40 million dollars for every movie, the power of a studio behind him, the power of a property that people loved, and a director that people like, a property with cult appeal and a director with cult appeal, like smash that together. I can't think of any way that would have gone badly, except if it had underperformed at the box office like George's movies tended to do. But I feel like this would have been the thing that would have like got him out of the respected independent, uh, you know, old school director gutter that he'd been stuck in since Dawn of the Dead was a phenomenon.
Yeah, no, I'd love that. Just point of order, real quick. The Resident Evil games may not be set up to be roll in and shoot 'em ups, but you ain't never seen me play one because I leave Roy Jenkins the hell out of them games, and I don't care.
Preach, Jay. Preach. It's like, no one is
So,
left alive.
I was like, oh no, no, I have 100 bullets. That's all I need. So,
I just pictured Jay yelling Leroy Jenkins running through Resident Evil.
Very unfortunate because the first one you don't want to make noise, so I
well,
gonna
as I
go one of
learned.
two ways. Yeah,
as,
as
as I
you
as I learned the hard way, but it still didn't stop the way I played it. But no, I love that. I love the idea of giving like a horror meister this kind of action horror movie, because it's a
Mhm,
different sensibility. But it's not that he couldn't have done it either. There's a lot of action in those original Dead movies,
mhm.
particularly Dawn of the Dead. And so, yeah, I would have loved to have seen that. You really piqued my interest with this. Now I almost want to go deforest Chile and make AI and make that happen. Just
And
to see it.
and the cool thing to think about would have been like, all right, so Romero does one. Well, who gets to go next? Well, I don't know. Dario Argento. Who
Oh,
gets to go after that? I don't know. His friend John Carpenter.
oh.
Oh, that would be
They
a good
this
one.
could have been like,
Carpenter, like Day of the Dead, in my veins right now. Yeah, I would love that.
Mhm.
yeah,
Hmm.
Yeah,
yeah.
Carpenter doing that, and then Carpenter doing a Resident Evil. Ooh, especially like something like Extinction or Afterlife. That would totally have worked in his
I
vein.
was
Yeah.
gonna ask which Resident Evil game did you think Carpenter would work, and that answered that question.
Yeah, I think
Yeah.
one of those. So
Yeah.
Extinction, Afterlife, any of the we're gonna shoot them up forever.
yeah,
Yeah,
Resident Evils. I think
absolutely.
that would have. I mean, Ghosts of Mars is like practically a Resident Evil movie anyway,
Yeah.
it is. Yeah.
in terms of feel, and the amount of skulking around they have to do really fits in with the Resident Evil gameplay. I mean, I don't think we would have gotten the Resident Evil type movies that we ended up getting with,
Hmm.
Extinction and Afterlife and Retribution and all those, but I think we would have got something just as good and uh, probably a little more critically respected than PWSA and company.
Mhm.
Mm.
Mhm.
I like it. It's a good swap. It's a good swap.
Hmm.
All right, Ryan, you're up next. What's your movie and then what's your director swap?
All right. Well, so I picked a little movie called The Shining as
Mm,
my pick. Released in late May, um, grossing 50 million in box office, which is really impressive considering it also was the third highest grossing opening weekend for a film released in less than 70 screens, which for this movie was 10, which
yeah.
is really impressive. And its opening weekend was the same as another little film, maybe you've heard of it, called The Empire Strikes Back.
Ooh, that's a
Yeah.
tough matchup to go
Yeah.
against.
Yeah, I know. And this was, I believe, Stephen King's second movie to make it to the big screen. I think Carrie was the first one. And just I think again, all of these movies that we've kind of picked all have iconic lines, but I think everyone knows the "Here's Johnny" line lives rent free in most people's brains.
Mhm.
And I know that Stephen King has been very vocal about how he did not like Stanley Kubrick's version of this film.
And putting that
Um,
mildly, yeah.
yeah, I put it, I was being a little bit more delicate about it.
Yeah.
That being said, the miniseries they did, I'm not going to sugarcoat it. I hated it. I didn't think it was good. I'll stick to Stanley Kubrick. But I was kind of thinking, in this day and age, is there a director, maybe a newer director, that could really bring in the aspects that Stephen King thought was lacking in Stanley Kubrick's? And I was torn between two directors. The first one being, I hope I pronounce his name right, Ari Aster, who
Hmm.
directed Midsummer and what's the other one? Hereditary.
Yeah.
Um, but the one that I decided, so he's an honorable mention. It was a very fine line between which one I was going to go with. But the one I went with was Jordan Peele as a director for this film. And the main reason being is that his movies tend to be very interesting takes on family as a whole, which is a big aspect of this movie. And the fact that they're trapped in this hotel, this claustrophobia, you feel this existential dread just continuing to build up. And I think he's such a great director to do that. He always like puts you in this false sense of security, and then it just gets a little bit and a little bit, and until it like gets really big, and you're like, I am very uncomfortable right now in this hotel. And I know that he doesn't commonly go for ghost films, but I still would love to see what he would have done with the woman in the bathtub. And it would have, I think that I think that it was again a very fine line, but because his movies tend to be more family dynamic in horror and psychological thrillers, that is the reason that I picked him.
I like it. I like
You
it a
know,
lot. Yeah,
it's
go.
it's funny that you mentioned the woman in the bathtub
Hmm.
because when you said that, that's not usually an Ari Aster kind of thing.
Hmm.
That immediately made me think, oh, what about Mike Flanagan?
Oh,
For
that would have
all
been
the
another good
reasons you
one too.
suggested, plus a love of that kind of like, here's some creepy thing happening. We're going to pan in
Hmm.
on it really slowly, and then it's going to
Yeah.
set up and move, and you're going to scream, kind of thing
Yeah.
that he loves.
As long as a hose doesn't come at me, I'm fine. Yeah.
Oh, that scene. No, I like that idea, because I think Peel borrows so much from that aesthetic anyway, but he understands atmosphere. He sets it up
Hmm.
so well.
Yeah.
And I mean, I love all of his movies, and the things that he's directed, and even the
Hmm.
ones that people were like, I don't know. I'm like, no, no, you need to watch, Nope again. It's really
What?
good.
Yeah. Watch it again.
Yeah. Well, yeah, I think he's one of those that you're rewarded, not unlike Kubrick, you're rewarded the more you'll like rewatch it. You get
Hmm.
more out of it every time,
Yeah.
because he fakes you every time you go to see a movie. Like you think it's going to be a thing, and then you watch it, and
Hmm.
you're like, oh, that was something totally different. Then you watch it again, you're like, oh shit, it's like friggin' brilliant.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's no, I like that one a lot.
Yeah. I just always feel that, and I love The Shining, the original. It's that it's about a family that's struggling, and there just so happens to be ghosts that are
Hmm.
involved in all of this. And that is, I think, and that's the biggest thing that Stephen King talks about is that he felt that like Jack's character was just a little too loopy in regards to that's
Hmm.
I can't control it that he cast Jack Nicholson, but I thought he was great. But I also see Stephen King's standpoint and maybe just the slow burn, which is so popular these days in modern horror films. And Jordan Peele is so fantastic in that. That's kind of why that's the main reason why I went with him.
Yeah, I dig it. I dig it. So,
Yeah.
Lindsay, you got any thoughts on that before I throw my curveballs in?
I
Oh.
honestly, I would not have thought. Ryan and I talked a little bit about the director swap without giving away what our directors would be. And
Mm-hmm.
I would never in a million years have guessed Jordan Peele for your choice, Ryan.
Well,
And I love it, but it makes so much sense.
yeah. But I like yours. I love yours too. It's like James Cameron. I never would have thought about that because
Hmm.
I saw that you were doing Jurassic Park and I genuinely went, who is she gonna pick? And that was not on my list of like top top five like directors I would have gone with. But I love that concept. And Resident Evil, I love the games. The movies have like a hit or a miss for me. But Ron's suggestion, I think my opinion would have deeply changed if he was the director. Good old
Well,
Romero. Mm.
can't beat it. Well, I didn't pick a movie to swap directors with. I wanted to hear what y'all had. What I decided to do was after y'all had put your notes down and you had movies, I said, okay, I'm going to come up with my own director swaps for the three things that you offered and toss them
Okay.
Nice.
at y'all and see what you think. So
Ooh.
I love all your choices, by the way. No disagreements on any of that. No notes. But
But
here's what I
But
would say for
hmm
these three. For Jurassic Park, give me Jurassic Park directed by John McTiernan. We're going to lean a little heavier into the action side, but I will remind everybody, John McTiernan directed one of the headiest action movies ever in The Hunt for Red October. Like if you watch that movie, like it's a Tom Clancy books are just technobabble anyway. He took that and made it interesting. And what if you ever listen to the director's commentary on that, and I highly recommend you do because McTiernan's great on it. He talked about the most impressive thing he learned doing The Hunt for Red October was that submarine captains weren't like warlords; they were like college presidents, is the way he described it, because they have to run all these departments all the time. And he's told Scott Glenn, "You can go follow that captain for a little while, but I really want you to spend time with these college presidents because that's how I want you to act." And so it would have been a very heady, very leaning into the brain of it. And then obviously the action would have been intense. So John McTiernan for Jurassic Park. Thoughts?
I have so many. I need to tell you what one of my crazy train thoughts was when I was looking at directors.
Mhm.
And when I had thought about Gremlins, I said, "Oh, well, if if Joe Dante did this, then maybe it would be like a Christmas movie but released in the summer, which is like Die Hard."
Yep.
So it is so funny that, and so for like the briefest second, John McTiernan entered my brain.
That's awesome.
Wouldn't it be funny if Jurassic Park was a Christmas movie?
It could work.
instead
Okay.
of the
A Christmas
they had little
action.
Christmas bells and
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. We didn't even talk about like the different score that maybe that's another session. Is like rescore give a different
Yeah.
Yeah, because I mean, in
composer. But
reality, all the
yeah.
directors would be bringing in their
Yeah. Out
producers
of
and costumers and
yeah.
sound people. It would be
Oh.
full 180.
Mhm.
So you're telling me we would have gotten a Resident Evil movie with a score by Goblin? Because
Yes.
man,
Yeah.
sign me
While
up.
they're jumping through
That
the
would have
laser beams.
ruled on levels
Yes.
that I can't even describe.
Uh,
Yeah.
On an 8-bit
Mhm.
soundtrack. Is that so much to ask?
Well, Ron, any thoughts on McTiernan for Park before I move on?
I love
I
McTiernan, and
mhm.
a thought I had that might not work, but when you were talking about the Hunt for Red October, I was like, well, who would I put as the director for Hunt for Red October?
Mm.
And the first name that jumped out is George Miller.
Ooh, I like
Because if you
that.
want to talk
Yeah.
about some action, who could handle that level of action, I think it would be George Miller.
Yep.
And he's proven with his non-Mad Max stuff that he's a really well-rounded director. And I'm thinking that would be a really fascinating thing to watch. Either that would be awesome or would be insane. And either way, I think I would love it. So,
Yeah.
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 but I love McTiernan for that's a pull. That's a good pull right there.
Yeah. Yeah, that was a good
Yeah.
call.
All right. Well, hold on because the curveball's coming. All
Oh
right.
dear.
For Resident Evil, give me
Mhm.
Catherine Bigelow behind the camera on that.
Oh, ho, ho, ho.
Ah,
Bring out the heavy
okay.
Yes.
I
hitter.
see you. I see you.
Yeah, I think she would have brought, particularly with female leads, because you've got Mila Jovovich and you've got Michelle Rodriguez, right? In
Hmm
this,
Hmm.
with her pushing that and her again, the way her camera works, and she can do incredible action. Point Break's one of the greatest action films of the 80s
hmm
and 90s. And that's just kind of a quick reference for her. She's done so much stuff. She would have brought sensibility to that just I think just ratcheted up the class in a different way. Like it would have been a very different adaptation, but it would have been uber cool, I think.
I could definitely see that, especially when you think about uh, her first movie, Near Dark,
Mm-hmm.
hmm
and how what that did to vampires, what she could do with Resident Evil zombies,
Yeah.
and
hmm
it's fascinating, especially when you think about the how she would have handled Mila Jovovich, because let's not kid ourselves. There would have been still been a woman lead for Resident Evil if she had her way,
Hmm.
and it might have
Absolutely.
been more of a like a Claire or a Jill Valentine type. But
Yeah.
I think that's a interesting idea. I love that idea.
Because she did the Hurt Locker as well, correct? Am I
Yes.
remembering that correctly?
Yep.
And yeah,
Hmm.
I wonder if she would have done a more true homage to the game because it is like a special ops team that is going into the mansion for the very first game.
Hmm.
And you have very talented actresses. And I agree with Ron. We probably would have had something closer to like a Jill Valentine or Claire Redfield. Um,
Hmm.
which would have been great. And then as the if they continued with the franchise, we would have seen some more badass women like Ada Wong, for example. We wouldn't have had to have waited for so long like we did, but that's a
Uh-huh.
story for another day.
True.
Yeah.
So for my third one for The Shining, I've
Mm.
I've I've kept the sinker in my back pocket because I
Oh
got the
no.
O2 now, so I'm coming through.
Oh God, he's gonna blow my battleship.
Give me Richard Donner. And let me tell you why. Dick Donner would have understood the heart of the King's story, but
Mhm.
been able to influence because remember, this is the guy that gave us the Omen. He would have
Right.
kept the supernatural pieces because he believes in that stuff too. He would have kept the Overlook as this presence that's like this, just megawatt battery of evil waiting for something to hook into,
Hmm.
and it would have been a different set of casts and stuff, but give me Dick Donner doing The Shining, even with Jack. I think it would have been it would have been a very different film, but I think he would have given us a really compelling film, and I think one King would have liked more than the Kubrick one. And I love the Kubrick one, but I get where King's coming from too, right?
Yeah.
Give me Richard
Yeah.
Donner's sensibilities with The Shining, because
Hmm.
again, this he could shoot the sets, he could do all the stuff. That's my third option is Richard Donner on The Shining.
I
It's so
love that
funny.
idea,
All I can
and
Yeah,
I
think
it's
is
feel
a Goonies version of The Shining.
yeah.
Yeah,
Oh
yeah, it
my
could
God.
be.
oh, that's
Yeah.
good.
Well, it's so funny because like I was originally thinking about The Omen, and then I
Mm.
found out that The Shining was also a summer blockbuster, and I went,
Yep.
"Oh." So actually, it is in our document. Honorable mention was The Omen.
I see
Oh,
that now.
nice.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Fun fact, Richard Donner was also in my bag of directors that I was
Ah,
See,
considering for the swap of
Nice.
great
Jurassic Park.
minds,
we
great
just share the
minds.
hive mind here at
I
Film Strip.
know, it's
Yeah.
so funny.
So, yeah.
Yeah. Oh,
Yeah,
that's another great director. Yeah.
that's a really good idea. That's a really good pull, and I guarantee
Yeah.
you, everybody who worked on The Shining would have been much happier working with Dick Donner than they were with Stanley Kubrick.
Yeah, yeah. Well, Stanley was tough. So
Well, he also
Can you imagine
stated,
it?
oh, sorry, go ahead, Ron.
I was just say, imagine a world where Shelley Duvall doesn't have to have a nervous breakdown.
yeah. Incited by the
God.
director. Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, that would have been it would have been something to see for sure. But
I mean,
anyway,
Kubrick did state that he made a movie because he wanted to make a movie. He wasn't trying to appeal to anybody, and
mm,
it still did well, but I feel like Donner probably would have been like, okay, let's not do that and let's be kinder to our actors. So,
I think
and
you would have felt the influence of the book more too. Because there's a very specific point in the Kubrick movie where and the book's gone. And
oh,
yeah,
100%.
Yeah.
And I think
so,
that Donner would have handled a kid actor a lot better than Kubrick does because he didn't really work with kid actors, whereas Donner did for The Omen.
mhm,
And I think that if you took um, the kid from The Omen and did that with the son in The Shining, he would have been far creepier and a lot less whiny.
mhm,
Yeah.
There is also a really similar hive mindy thing happening right now where I think we all want directors are that that capture more of the essence of the original material for the
Yes,
mhm.
movie.
because it's funny, we all
Yeah.
picked ones that were either books or video games.
Yeah,
Yeah.
established IPs. Yeah, so
Yeah.
Yeah.
that is an interesting thing to get because to behind the scenes, nobody talked to each other before they picked their stuff.
No.
So it was
Hmm.
you saw it on the doc was the first time anybody saw it, our
Yeah.
notes doc. So I think that's fascinating. It's a great pickup too, Linz, that we all
Yeah.
have
And
thought
we
that.
all
But
kind of, also again, hive mind, because we all kind of picked similar directors. We just went, there can only be one.
yeah, so But
Yeah.
well,
And
eh,
what's funny is none of us really wanted to put any information on the dock because we didn't want to spoil
I
it for
know.
everybody
Yeah.
else.
oh,
You're like,
that's
no
half the
peeking.
fun.
No peeking.
Yeah, you can shake your Christmas present, you can't open it.
Uh-huh.
So, you
I was,
know,
I also did wonder if any of us were going to pick the same director at some point. And
I'm surprised that didn't happen. Yeah.
Yeah,
I
it's
am too,
close.
actually.
But on the other hand, I'm not though too, because every one of you has a different point of view, brings different sensibilities in. That's why the show works the way it does.
Yeah.
So because even though there's a lot of collective, thought, there's also like, but here's my flavor of it. So it's
Yeah.
yeah.
Hmm.
So it's
Hmm.
very cool, very cool. Well, y'all, this has been a blast. I appreciate your inputs and then humoring my random asides as we went through this, but a lot of fun here. And again, if this is your first time joining us for Film Strip Sessions, we do these once every few months where we just get a topic and want to banty it about and talk about stuff. And we've got some special sessions things planned for the future, and that's all I'll say about that. But some more fun stuff coming up here on Film Strip. We've got a lot of things already recorded and in the can, and then some more stuff coming down the line. It's summertime, so we're going to keep some themes going there, but it won't be long before we're heading into fall and into all the other stuff that we like to do here. But if you are watching this on YouTube, go ahead and hit subscribe, hit a like, and do share the show on socials, and you can find us on all the audio platforms available. Ron, you got anything you're working on currently you want to talk to folks about?
Yes, I actually do. I've been working with a magazine and a blog called Memento Mori Inc. I've contributed some really interesting stuff to the blog, and I've actually got an article coming out in their next print edition magazine about Jason X. Uh, but of course, I think the thing film strip people would be most amused by is the piece I wrote for in May for the Weird West for the Western theme month that they had going because they do a different theme month every month on the blog. So in May it was Westerns. So I talked about Clint Eastwood's weird Westerns.
Mm.
Um,
Ooh,
Nice.
Pale
cool.
Rider and
Oh,
blanking on the
Yeah.
other one. But like Pale Rider and the other one where he's also a ghost and or avenging spirit.
hang
And
'em
he
high.
also
So,
yeah, no, not Hang 'em High.
oh.
Um well, whatever.
One of the dollars ones or something like that. I can't
It
remember
was
where
after
he.
the dollars ones, but it was
Yeah.
yeah, it was still a spaghetti western, and then
Hmm.
um Pale Rider is like one of his last 80s westerns, and
Hmm.
the only western he did in the 80s. Um, but interestingly enough, he cucks a guy as a ghost in both of those movies.
Yeah,
So,
yeah. Yeah. High Plains Drifter is what you're talking about.
High Plains
So
Drifter, yes.
yes, yeah. I knew
And
I
so
would
we've
think
got
of it when you said that. I was like, oh, there it is. Yes. So,
Clint Eastwood, Ghost Cuck, or Ghost
That's his
doing
nickname.
Ghost
Ghost Cuck.
Cucking.
Yeah.
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 Ghost, I
Cl-
don't know if there's a name for the guy who
No,
does the cucking rather than the guy who gets cucked, but
the
yeah, Clint
cuckold. I
Eastwood
don't know.
as the reverse cuckold. But yeah, and the Jason X article is going to be a lot of fun because I'm talking about how Jason X is both in terms of its tone and in terms of its creative team, just a sci-fi movie, not a slasher. So
Mhm.
that'll be fun too. And
Very
that'll be in a
cool.
magazine that you can buy and actually look at, and it'll have pictures and lots of cool stuff. They do. I've
Yeah.
seen I've seen the actual magazines that they put out previously, and they've got three or four, and they're all gorgeous looking, like beautiful, glossy, incredible pictures. It's not like a cheap zine I made on a Xerox in,
Mhm.
1997. It's like a legit magazine, and it's a collector's piece thing of beauty. It's gorgeous, heavy paper, really nice, and
That's
it's
cool.
through the horror
Cool.
publisher Crystal Lake Press
Ah,
is
Oh,
who's
what a
behind
great name.
the
yeah.
magazine, and they're a really well-known independent horror label and do really good work on the print side too. So,
Awesome.
yeah, check it out, and I'll be sure to drop links on the socials when that appears so people can pick it up and check it out.
Yes, very cool. Lens, Ryan, anything y'all got going on?
No, I am really just enjoying having some free time and catching up on reading things I want to read and watching movies that I want to watch. So,
Yeah.
and I don't think it's a secret. I believe it's already been teased that we're working our way through some bracket stuff for Tis the Podcast, which will come out in October. So stay
Hmm.
tuned for that. But yeah, really just kind of reassimilating myself to the world of books and movies once more after being on a hiatus for a little bit. So feel free to at me with your books and movie suggestions. I'm here for it.
Very
Oh,
cool.
yeah.
Very cool.
Yeah, and this will be my first time doing this bracket, so y'all can listen to me flounder around like a fish on a deck. But yeah, not doing any performances like this summer, but I'm super excited because I'm going to Blobfest in Pennsylvania.
Cool.
Nice.
So I will be there for that, which if you guys have never heard of it, look it up. It's great. You get to watch the Blob in the theater that it was filmed in, and you get to
Hmm.
run out of the theater and they record it and everything. And it's a weekend of just old-timey and cheesy films. So maybe I'll see some of you there, but I'm super excited. And I probably come back and be like, have we done this one? Have we done this one?
I can say right now we've never done the Blob. We've talked about it forever, so I think that's going to have to make us an appearance this
Ooh,
October
okay.
at some point.
All
So,
Nice.
right. I
yeah.
like it.
Very cool, very cool. Well, as always, folks, you can follow this show on social media at Filmstrip Pod. We share announcements about shows and other cool stuff we've got going on. We share our friends' contents out there, our pod buddies, and again, don't forget to subscribe, share the show, and bonus points when you leave us a review makes us feel good about ourselves. And hey, let's help us grow this YouTube channel. This has really been a new outlet for us. It's a lot of fun, and we decided to show our shining faces this time. So, but we all of our episodes are there, our huge archives out there for you to enjoy. We appreciate the support. So until next time, for Lindsay, for Ryan, for Ron, I'm Jay. Thank you for listening to Film Strip Sessions.